Lost Time by Onomatopoeia. Chapter 4 Celestia's Prophecy. Twilight had been wandering aimlessly around the unfamiliar city for almost half an hour. It could only be explained by a stroke of luck as she found her way back to the monorail terminal. As she waited for the next car, she couldn't help but feel that everything that led her back was suspiciously coincidental. Upon leaving the guard station, Twilight suddenly felt a pain in her skull return, causing her to become disoriented. Using the wall as a brace, she had started walking back down the street towards the direction she had thought she had come from. For almost 30 minutes, she had traveled down the road, unable to recognize any of her surroundings. She knew she was lost, but her stubbornness forced her to press on forwards. As she turned at the next intersection, she could see neon lights of taverns and clubs littering the walls of buildings all the way down to the end of the strip. Loud and obnoxious stallions whistled and hollered at her as she passed by, trying not to make eye contact. Unfortunately, an unruly trio of unicorns had managed to cut off her escape. They were large and unkempt, and shades of their coats were indecipherable from the grime and grit that coated the alleyways, and their manes and tails were greasy and with sweat and dirt. "Hey, little lady," the gray stallion said with a wrinkled smile. "You lost?" He stood right in front of Twilight, blocking her from heading forward. "No, I'm quite all right," she said as she slowly began to back up, bumping into a larger brown stallion. "Looks like she's having a little trouble. She's bumping all over the place," he said as he placed her hoof on her saddlebag. "Maybe we could provide some assistance." Quickly she turned to remove the hoof and moved down to the side away from the pair. Unsurprisingly, the third stallion had maneuvered his way to block her path that way as well, trapping her against the wall. "Difficult? I'm sure I'm grateful for the offer, but I think I see my ride over there." She pointed towards the direction of her cart, carrying a few cases of bottles down the street, hoping it would distract them long enough for her to make her escape. Fortunately, her attempt only served to draw them closer into her. "Nonsense!" the green pony began. "You look tired. Why don't you say we find a place that you could crash for a while? Just so happens I have a place that has some extra space, say, a few ponies." He leaned in, wearing a devilish grin and with a slow motion, placed a hoof on her rump. In her sudden shock, Twilight shut her eyes tight and jerked forward, bucking the air behind her as hard as she could, making contact with a wooden beam that cracked from the impact. Suddenly, the scaffolding that was above them buckled down, dropping paint cans, bricks, and tools all around her. Unsurprisingly, when she opened her eyes, the three ponies were covered in bruises and scratches, as well as a fine coat of yellow and blue paint, but not a drop or scratch was on her. "Oh, you are dead!" the once great unicorn shouted. Twilight took the opportunity to dart off between them and make her daring escape. It was no use. They were much too fast for her to keep them off her tail. Her only option was to use her size to her advantage. Quickly, she cut across the street, ducking under the yoke of a passing cart. Her saddlebags were yanked off her back, but she had no time to recover them. One of the ponies tried to follow, but slipped up on the bags, falling under the wheel of the cart. All Twilight heard was a loud thump and a few gasps. Having made a little distance between her and her pursuers, she hastily made her way through the back alleys, trying to shake them off with a series of tight turns. As she rounded a corner, she was startled by to find the route cut off abruptly, leaving only the direction to go as up. She quickly ascended the ladder, galloped across the low rooftop, accidentally tripping over a wooden beam. This had given the two ponies enough time to climb up the ladder and catch up to her. The beam, now bouncing over the edge of the roof, was suddenly dropped, bringing a rope that was tied to it along with it. Rope then wrapped itself around the brown stallion's leg and yanked him off the building. While Twilight and the gray stallion peered over the edge at the unconscious pony living in a pile of broken boxes. Quickly eyeing each other, they continued the pursuit, hopping across narrow alleys and over obstacles. Suddenly, Twilight's back hoof caught in a hole in one of the stone tiles. As she struggled to free her leg, the gray stallion slowly made his way to her, with an evil grin across his face. "Oh, you better pray to Luna you make it through what I'm about to do to you," he hissed. With one final heave, Twilight was able to free her hoof, sending the horseshoe flying into the air. It was already too late. The paint-splattered stallion was breathing down her as he reached over and grabbed her by the shoulders. Suddenly, he held up a hoof over his head, blocking a falling horseshoe from knocking him unconscious. Not this time. No pony makes a fool out of me, Twilight winced as he came down at her. Crack! The sound of pottery crashing was the only thing Twilight heard. Slowly, as she opened her eyes, it revealed that a pony was frozen in place with his eyes crossed. On top of his head was a single sunflower sitting in a pile of dirt. She looked up to see a ledge with a deep indentation where her horseshoe made contact. The stallion could only mutter a timid squeak before he fell to his side, unconscious. After she collected her horseshoe and made her way down below, she was caught by a golden ray shining down from the alley. This strangely reminded her of sunshine. As she went further to investigate, she found 2 bits lying on the ground. The gold sun insignia minted on the face. However, the light that came off of it was coming from a slightly open fence. After picking up the bits with her tail, she pressed on to investigate the strange light further. As she peered in through the crack of the gate, she noticed a bright sign from across a slightly bustling street. To her astonishment, the sign was directing her to the monorail station. It wasn't until she finally arrived at the station, more specifically the toll booth, that she remembered she had lost Spike's bag as well as her own. "Oh no, I have no money," she began, suddenly cutting herself off as she remembered the bit she picked up in the alleyway. Twilight leaned against the tiled column in relief as a smile crossed her face. "Princess Celestia, wherever you are, thank you for looking out for me," she thought. As the monorail car approached, Twilight felt a sense of paranoia setting in. Every glance in her general direction was enough to make her jump. Twilight eyed every face that she could, and carefully studied every pony whose face she couldn't. Cautiously, she approached the open doors, scanning the windows for wandering eyes. As she walked down the aisle, she nervously checked each seat to make sure no pony was hiding in to jump out at her. After she was satisfied with her inspection, she went over and picked a seat with a few ponies around as she could see. It's not that Twilight's previous experiments had been overly traumatic, but it was her first experience with the monorail, and it hadn't left a good impression. The ride to the next station was the longest ride of her life. As the car finally came to a stop, Twilight was the first to the exit, practically forced the doors open faster than they would normally. "Finally I can breathe!" she shouted, gasping for air as she stumbled onto the platform. All around, the ponies were pointing or laughing or just giving her odd looks. Suddenly realizing how much of a scene she was making, she nervously stood up and dusted herself off. "I'm, claustrophobic," she mumbled out to no pony in particular. Every pony simply began to carry on with their business, entering the cars or heading for the exit. All except for one young, light blue mare who continued to stare, or even appeared to simply be studying her from a distance. As soon as she noticed Twilight was aware of her, she quickly turned to the side and hid her face behind wavy dark blue and white mane. Twilight tried to duck away behind the crowd. She wanted nothing more than to be in Canterlot Castle, the only familiar saying left for her all Canterlot. As she passed the exit gate of the platform, she found herself in a large, elaborately designed room. Hanging from the ceiling were ornate chandeliers, and blazing with crystals that reflected the lights and flooded the walls with rainbow-colored light. Each crystal, however, was strategically placed to avoid the light from refracting the ground, potentially annoying commuters. The walls were lined with columns, each of which were ornately designed at the top and base with elaborate carvings in the marble. In the center of the room there was a large clock plated with gold, its head signifying that the time was 6:47. Underneath was a dial with 2 settings, AM and PM, the prior of which was marked. "I guess it's pretty early in the morning." Twilight scanned the signs that hung from the ceiling, finally coming across one that read Main Street Exit. She hastily made her way to the large revolving door, excited to be able to get some fresh air. As she stepped outside, she was greeted to a much more pleasant sight than the one she had seen at the previous stop. The streets and sidewalks were clean and properly lit. The ponies were sophisticated and surprisingly well mannered, which helped put her at ease. Across the street she could see a pony in a business suit helping a young mare pick up a bag she dropped. Warm smiles were worn by passersby and street vendors. But, despite all this, she still felt a tear roll down her cheek. All of the surroundings used to be rolling hills and humbling cottages. To her left stood a park where she used to get some outdoor reading done. But now it was replaced by an elegant dress shop. Farther down to her right was once a toy store where she got her Smarty Pants doll. Now it was replaced by an apartment complex. As she continued down the street, she noticed that the buildings started to get shorter. The architect began to get older the farther she went. Buildings made of steel and concrete faded to buildings made of cobblestone, and shortly after, made of wood and ivory. As she reached the Royal Boulevard, to her enlightenment, she found Spike might have under-exaggerated when he said it was the same from there on. Nothing had changed even the slightest, which should have come as a surprise to Twilight. The eldest part of rural Canterlot was a historic site, once home to many famous unicorns. As Twilight crossed the stone bridge, she could see her home over the horizon, Canterlot Library, its ivory tower glistening in the moonlight. It had been so long since she last came by, even longer now that this wasn't her time anymore. The gala had been the last time she had came to Canterlot. The only time she had spent outside the palace was Pony Joe's. Been far too long, she thought. After a long walk down memory lane, she finally came to a point in the road where it forked. In one direction, the road headed off down the mountain and on to Philadelphia, many miles away. In the other direction was a steep slope, a winding path all the way up to the marble gates of Canterlot Castle. "Halt!" Two guards called out in unison, flaring their wings in the presence of Twilight. "What's your name and business here?" Twilight reared back in surprise. As he remembered, the guards only stood at the gates for show, but apparently security measures had increased in their absence. "Oh, my name is Twilight Sparkle, and I got a letter from the princess that told me to come see her," she sadly tried to explain. "Can you present said letter as proof?" said one of the guards. "Well, you see, Twilight began as he nervously struck the ground with a hoof. "Lost it." The guards, unflinching, took an intimidating step towards Twilight's personal space. "You have no official proof of your business here. You must return whence you came," he said as he puffed out his chest. "Can you please just let her know I'm here?" Twilight pleaded. "She said it was really important. It was about Princess Celestia and—" Suddenly, the guard stepped forward, stopping her back. "You don't take it kindly to jokes. Consider this last warning. Leave, or else we—" "Twilight Sparkle!" A booming voice came out from behind the guards. Out from the darkness trotted Princess Luna. She had grown the last time since she had come into Ponyville, now standing as tall as Celestia once stood. Atop her flowing mane, a large black crown with a light blue gem encrusted in stare rested. "It is good to see you again after all these years," she beamed. Twilight could tell that Princess Luna had adjusted to the ways of the world in the 15 years of her absence. Her dialect, while still professional bold, was now modernized. "Come quickly. We have much to discuss in so little time," Luna said as he walked through the gates. Twilight nervously passed the guards as he gave her a sneer. Inside the palace, the decorum had changed drastically. Once vibrant white and gold decorations had been replaced by dark blue and black. Gold inlays and accents had been replaced by obsidian. Even the giant sun sitting on the floor was now a glowing moon. Twilight followed closely as Luna led her to the throne room, sealing the doors behind them. "Twilight Sparkle, since you are here, I presume you have received my gift," she began. "Gift?" she asked, confused. "What gift?" "Why, the Fortune's Favor enhancement I put on the letter. It was one of the last things Celie asked me to do for you. She said you would need it." Luna gave Twilight a confused look. "Certainly you, with all your magical talent, would have noticed." "Wait, that means I can't sense magic anymore either? Grr, I feel so blind!" Twilight quickly shifted out of the conversation, of frustration with her current physical state. "I'm sorry to change the subject, but what did you have to tell me?" "Oh, yes, right," Luna began. "I'm sure you have already been told, but—" Princess Celestia's gone. Twilight gave Luna a look of disgust at her bluntness. "I'm sorry, Twilight, but the time for formalities has passed. Please forgive my bluntness," Luna continued on. "What I'm about to tell you is a secret lost in time that only Celestia and I know. Celestia trusted you enough to ask that I share you with this information. What I'm about to share with you, you must not share with anyone. Understand?" Twilight stood in awe at the amount of trust Celestia placed in her. "I understand. Please continue." Princess Luna gave her a quick nod. "As everybody now knows, alicorns are not immortal. What they don't know is that when Celestia died, She was exactly 4,000 years old, not a minute older or younger. This is because alicorns are only given that long to live when we are born. I too would be gone now if it wasn't for my timeless password on the moon, but I do know that in 1,000 years I will face my own mortality. This is all amazing, Princess, but why tell me? Twilight asks. What good does me knowing to do for Equestria? What good does it do for Celestia? For me? Alas, I do not know. Celestia told me that I must tell you, but that you must also find the answers on your own. She did, however, tell me that I am to grant you to access to the Royal Archive. Royal Archive? But I've been there before. Not only that, but I've read all the books it has to offer. What more could I learn from going back there? The real Royal Archive. Hidden away for millennia, this archive contains no books, but only a secret that Celestia wishes to keep from the world. Thought I am quite generous, because you're actually going to be the first to see it. Me? The first? Twilight was more confused than ever. You haven't been there before? But you're a princess. Can't you grant yourself access? Luna held up a hoof to stop Twilight's train of thought. It's not a clearance issue that keeps me from what it holds inside. The truth is, I do not know where it is. Celestia made it a long time ago in secrecy, hidden away from me and everybody else. Before she died, she had told me all the answers for you lie in that archive. She said everything would be all right, and she had a plan. But look around us, Twilight shouted. It seems too late to fix anything. Would it be easier for everyone just to get me back to my time so I can ask her myself? Princess Luna stamped her host down in annoyance. Twilight, you have never doubted your teacher's wisdom. All I ask is that you trust her as much as she trusts you. She began to tear up at her words. Only once before Twilight seen an alicorn cry. That was during their 1,000-year reunion. Princess Luna was in pain, and until now she was doing a good job of hiding it. Besides, I do not have the ability to send you back to your time. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to pressure you like that. If you need the book with the time spell in it, I still have it in my library. I can go get. It's not that I do not know the spell. I have both the power and knowledge to send you back. Then what is it? Why can't you do it? Twilight, I am not like you or Celestia. My magic works differently than others. As far as I know, I am the only pony alive who is like this. She looked over the ceiling as she was reminiscing the past. See, I suppose unicorns get their magic from the power of harmony. I get my magic from the power of chaos. It's how Celestia and I managed balance for so long. I don't understand, Twilight stared. I thought Discord was the spirit of chaos. What is snorted the mere mention of the name? Discord was nothing more than a fool with a lot of power. She bellowed as she stamped down the tile, cracking it beneath her hoof. Twilight reeled back. Obviously she touched a sore subject. Once he was wisely chose not to press any further, judging by the fate of the tile beneath Luna's hoof. I'm sorry, Princess. I didn't know. What does that mean for the spell? I mean, I've never heard of anything like this before. Spells like that time spell were designed for the Alphas unicorn. I could use it too, but my procedure would be flipped. Luna went outside. You see, when you want to go to the future, you put your horn to the sun while performing the spell, am I correct? Twilight quickly nodded. To put it simply, if I wanted to go to the future, I would put my horn to the moon. Luna closely eyed Twilight as she waited for her piece to rest together. But put a hoof, only for a brief moment, slowly jerking her head to meet Luna's gaze. Without the sun, you can't go back in time. But then, how will I return? Princess Celestia is the only one who can send me back, and she's gone! She exclaimed, her tone quickly switching to panic. Twilight, I only know of one pony in all of Equestria who has the power to send you back, Luna proclaimed. Who? Like you, of course. You had enough power to get here. But that was an accident. I lost control, and that almost killed me, Twilight shouted. She quickly puts a hoof on her chest as she began to hyperventilate. I can't even perform any magic anymore. Feeling claustrophobia setting in, as Twilight broke into a violent sweat. I'm trapped! I can't do this! Luna raced over to Twilight, placing her hoof on her shoulder. She gazed down at Twilight. She sent a wave of energy down to her. Twilight quickly regained her composure, as a feeling of euphoria set in. It felt like she was floating in a ficus fluid. Every motion was slow and flowing. Twilight gazed back up to Luna, first seeing her smile, then glowing eyes staring back at her. Twilight, In time, you will learn the extent of your power. You must stay strong, for the road ahead of you is filled with chances that will test the very workings of your soul. The fate of Equestria rests on your shoulders. Slowly release their hoof. The normality of the world begin to return. Our eyes return to their normal state. Now you must go, Twilight, while I share with you all I can. Twilight gazed at Luna in her violet eyes. Somehow she began to feel at ease. All she could feel when they stared at each other was warmth. A feeling that everything was going to be alright. Princess Luna? She called out as she turned to the throne. Before I go, how will I know if I'm heading in the right direction or searching in the right area? Without turning around, Princess Luna dropped her head and began to speak. Twilight, I wish I could say something inspirational or heartwarming to you. But the truth is, I don't really know. Celestia has faith in you, and I trust her with every fiber of my being. She turned to look at Twilight. I guess all I can say is follow your heart. Even though the castle grounds had remained unchanged, something about the way they looked in the darkness of Equestria's perpetual night made the once happy, vibrant gardens look sad and sick. Twilight wandered the grounds, hoping the riddle would fall into her head from the stars, and lead her to her next goal, whatever that may be. I'm really honored, but maybe Celestia puts too much faith in me. I'm just one bear. How can I solve all this? Twilight looked around at the snow-covered grounds before she continued to walk. Suddenly, right before her, she witnessed a figure she had never seen before. Larger-than-life marble statue of Princess Celestia stood at the entrance to the sculpture gardens. There she stood, tall and firm. Her stance was intimidating, with her chest puffed out, but her face wore a gentle smile that was warm and welcoming. All around, she was laced with gold accents and accessories. Certainly, it was a fitting statue for a god princess. Twilight made her way into the garden, first passing a statue of 3 fillies playing Amelius and Parentis, Friendship. Who would have guessed it would be my most powerful magic of all? When Twilight was a filly, her favorite place in all of Canterlot used to be the sculpture garden. She would sit for hours trying to find hidden riddles in the plaques, even though most only had a sentence or two about their subject. But her favorite statue had to be the Studioso Scientita. Twilight found inspiration from the young mare, the symbol of knowledge. The delicate stone scroll that spiraled around her held riddle after riddle in many different languages, which Twilight would study for hours on end. But most perplexing about the sculpture was that the scroll was rolled up in her arms, and appeared to be detached from the sculpture, and even had hinges on the stone flap. The statue, however, was very delicate, and thus forbidden to touch. Twilight couldn't get close enough to see if the hinges were moving parts, or meticulously designed. As an urban legend once told, Kuoso Seiitita was actually protecting a hidden secret in the scroll. Well, that was a bedtime story that her mother used to tell her as a filly. Still, curiosity drove her becoming attached to the statue. She studied all the words on the scrolls, enough to be able to recite them by memory. But the biggest mystery, and her biggest desire, was to one day find out what the Keeper of Knowledge dutifully protected day and night for hundreds of years. Twilight continued on in the garden, her mind at ease. The cool breeze, kept in control by magic, felt comforting on Twilight's face. She no longer felt heat coming off her horn, whether she had just become adjusted to the heat, or what the worst of it was already over. She didn't know. She continued to walk, as she viewed each statue, naming it as she passed by. Amare Sagittarius, de Miles, Amaya Victoria. So I couldn't figure out if Amaya Victoria was the mare's actual name, or actually Latin for noble victory, or even both. Most of the statues were made in the pre-classical era, though, so they often had Latin names for what they represented. Finally, Twilight came to Costo Scientita. It's been a long time, old friend. Twilight said as she stared into the mare's eyes. Even stoned, they shone with a spark of responsibility she had to protect her secret. Never vigilant, I see. Twilight was about to get lost in the statue, like she did so often as a filly. Now she noticed a new statue, right in front of the entrance to the royal headsmaze. It can't be, she said as she walked closer to it. The young mare was in the sculpture, was unlike any other. Her eyes were cold and amethyst. The cutie mark was set in the stone. Atop her straight-cut mane stood a golden crown with an emblem that matched her cutie mark, a magenta 6-pointed star. Twilight stood and gaped as she read the golden plaque on its base. Twilight Sparkle, the element of magic, lost in time, never forgotten. The most faithful student and best friend. You showed me that when in times of doubt, the ones you love would be there to show you the way. Thank you for being the best part of my life, Princess Celestia. This, this is me! Twilight thought stark purple streaks formed under her eyes. I knew I'd find you here. A soft young voice spoke out from behind Twilight. She quickly returned her seat to see a young, light blue mare with wavy dark blue, white, and streaked mane. She was at least a few years younger than Twilight. The young mare moved in closer to Twilight. She noticed she'd been crying. I'm sorry. I I didn't mean to interrupt you, she nervously said. You're Twilight Sparkle, aren't you? Twilight sipped away her tears. Yes, I am. How do you know me? This is my favorite place in all of Canterlot. I used to come here all the time with my parents when I was a filly. She looked at the statue of Twilight, continued on. My mother used to always tell me the legend of Twilight Sparkle. How you defeated Nightmare Moon, ate Discord, and saved Equestria twice. These were my favorite stories when I was a filly. She looked back down at Twilight with a smile, soft violet eyes sparkling with joy. When I saw you at the monorail station, I knew right away it was you. I wanted to meet you, but I lost you in the crowd. I am honored, truly. But how did you get into the castle away? Twilight made a face as if hinted she was looking for the right way to address the young mare. Oh, I'm sorry, where are my manners? She chuckled nervously like a filly, meeting her idol. My name is Nova Shine, but you can call me Nova. I run the observatory in the castle. Twilight turned as he turned to show Twilight her cutie mark. 7 stars ranged in the constellation of the Ursa Minor. She sheepishly turned her head to the side as she began to bless. I guess you could say I'm your biggest fan. Twilight held her hoof to shake hers. Well, it's nice to meet you, Nova. Nova quickly took her hoof and shook it violently, giggling the whole time. Never thought I'd be so lucky to meet you. I always thought you were gone. It's a long story, and I really wish I had time to share. Twilight began. Slightly upset she had to disappoint her fan. But I got really important things I need to take care of. Alright, I understand, she said, only slightly dejectedly. If you ever need my help with anything, you can usually find me in the observatory. I'll keep that in mind. The young mare slowly started to backpedal to the gates of the sculpture garden, looking back every few seconds to catch another glimpse of her idol. As soon as she was out of sight, Twilight exhaled a long-awaited breath of relief as she dropped her head. Quickly, she turned her attention back to the statue, carefully reading each line on her plaque. Once you love, show you the way. Maybe this is one of the clues. Not very subtle, though, if you ask me.